Welcome to this brief training on our new software and Model 25, which will already come pre-installed on the tablet. We will select it by tapping the application icon to enter. Once inside, it's important to accept the permissions that will appear on the screen, and we also need to make sure that the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connections are enabled. Bluetooth, in particular, will be important for the system to function properly. Once inside, you will see the access control screen with a username and password. In this case, the default credentials are initially set to admin for both, and you will have the option to change them later. Same as username and password. Once you fill them in, press the enter button to access the control panel, where you'll find all the options available in the main menu. The first time we install the software, we should go to Settings and then to the License section to fill in our license information, which will be unique and exclusive for each client. In this case, I'm going to fill in mine with my name, just as an example, along with the address, city, province, country, phone number, and an email address. It's important to fill in each and every one of these fields in order to activate our license. The email, contact information. Once the information is filled in, we'll click the Validate License button, and a little message will appear on the right that says Validate License. It's important to fill in all the information and make sure that the license number, with the dashes, capital letters, and numbers, is exactly the same as the one shown on our document. And just like that, on the right side of the screen, it will retrieve our MCI devices that we have under this unique and exclusive license number. This first time, we'll be able to go back and restore a backup that we previously had in the old software or in this software if we've already created one. In the backup option, we can restore our backup to recover client names, sessions, and previous calibrations. In this case, I'll do an example, and a green message will appear showing that the backup has been restored with all our data. Once the control panel and our backup are ready, we'll go to the control panel, which is the first and most important option in the main menu. The first time, it will recommend that we watch the tutorials to properly understand and use the software, including the basics and common issues. In each of them, there will be various videos and explanatory processes to help you get started with this new application. Now, let's go into the control panel and take a look at all the features it offers. Mainly, at the top of the screen, you'll see our MCI is connected and linked to our license. As you can see, the first one on the left is already showing up in yellow, which indicates that it's charging the battery. This second one, in red with a play icon, tells us that it's in perfect condition to start a session or treatment, and we could work with this one. And on the right, we have two that are currently disconnected and appear in gray. By selecting the one we have ready, we can go to the Client button to select or create a new client. Since I restored the backup, all the clients I had previously created were recovered, and I could select one of them to start the session or by clicking the Client Plus button, we can create a new client. The most important thing is to fill in all the client's information: name, gender, date of birth, phone number, height, for example, and an email address, which will be important to have. As a new feature in this software, we will include a consent form that we must read and sign for each client we create. In this case, we will select the option to read and sign consent. The document with our consent will appear, along with the option to sign it, save it, click the Save Signature button, and confirm the consent down here. Once this is done, we can confirm the creation of this client by clicking the green check mark that appears at the bottom right. A success message will pop up saying client added successfully, and this client will now be in our client database. Once this data section is set up, we can add packages, use sessions, and calculate spent sessions by clicking on Add Packages. Number of packages, an example of sessions, add. And here we can keep track and manage each of the sessions the client uses. Additionally, the Active Groups option will let us select which groups this client will work on or which groups they do not want to include in their treatments. And this will preset the software so that when their treatment starts, these groups, for example, mid-back and arms, will not be activated for this client. Now I'm going to activate all of them. And once these three configurations are done, personal information, packages, and the client's active groups, we can press the green checkmark button to definitively confirm the client. Once this client is created, they will be added to my list of all clients, and I can select them to carry out the session. The name of this client will appear up here, connected to this device, to this NCI. With the client created, I will proceed to select the type of program, either individual or automatic, as well as the type of equipment we are going to use, whether it's pants or a full-body suit. Once the program is selected, in this case, we'll start with calibration. The options to retrieve or save our calibrations will become available. The buttons next to the client. I will start a session by pressing the play button and gradually increasing the overall intensity throughout the body or specifically for each muscle group. Always asking the client, checking their needs, profile type, and sensitivity in order to reach an optimal intensity. The intensity will have a range from 0 to 100%, and we can choose it at any time. You can keep adjusting this intensity until it's just right. We can pause, and by pressing the Save button for the client's calibration, we can confirm it. This calibration will be saved for next time. Just press the Next button to retrieve it and always start our session with these values, which we've already determined are optimal for the client because we performed this prior calibration. Once it's done, we'll select the program to start with, in this case either an individual cellulite program or an automatic program. Within the automatic programs, toning, pelvic floor, glutes, cellulite, and so on, There will be a series of sequences that change every minute or two, adjusting both the program and the intensity. The difference between individual and automatic programs is that the individual ones are manual. We need to increase and decrease the intensity ourselves, as well as pause to change the programs. The automatic ones, on the other hand, will automatically adjust the individual program, create a protocol, and also increase or decrease the intensity according to the sequence that's been set. For example, an individual program for the pelvic floor. We'll let the client know that we're about to start the session, and then we'll begin one. We'll increase the intensities again and ask the client how they're feeling. And within the intensity options for each muscle group, by double tapping on the muscle group, we can lock it with the padlock icon, turning it orange for any muscle group. This means that the intensity can be adjusted for all groups except those that are locked. Another option is to remove a muscle group by pressing and holding on the muscle group you want to delete for at least 3 seconds. It will automatically drop to 0 and remain gray, which means it's deactivated, since this person, this client, doesn't want to work on those parts of the body, right? You can adjust the intensity as well as the time, either by increasing the intensity, increasing the time, or decreasing the total session duration. Normally, and by default, a session lasts 25 minutes, but you can adjust it to a maximum of 30 or a minimum of 20 minutes per session. The next option in a treatment is to choose the type of equipment, either a full suit or just the bio-shaped pants. Here, on the right side of the screen, you can see in real time the kilocalories burned by a client. When we have several clients at the same time, the list will show the names and numbers of clients, as well as the contraction time of the program and the program's pause time. These will be specific to each program, always measured in seconds for both the contraction and the pause. For the pause time, there is an option, if desired, to press and activate an active recovery, which actually consists of a smaller impulse during the recovery period. Next, below we will have 3 buttons, a button to reset the session, to end a session, and to force it to finish. And once this session is finished, either because the total time has ended or because we have reset it, a summary will appear, showing details of the session we just completed, including the client's name, the device we used, the equipment, the calories burned, the average DMS used, the maximum intensity reached, the intensity points generated, as well as the total session time. For informational purposes. Next to the reset button, we have the X1 or X2 button, which is used to increase or decrease the intensity by 1 or by 2 units at a time. After that, the button with the lightning bolt, either black or green, indicates that it is active. This serves as a check for technical support to detect if there is any issue with the electrode connections. Next to these options, we can use the arrows to display the clients and the key kilocalories, as well as go back and return to the main menu. Main menu, the second option, within clients, allows us to check our client list and, for each one, their activity, the workouts and sessions they've completed, as well as the calculation of packages, bioimpedance, which we'll look at the available options for in a moment, and each client's active groups. In this case, we use this client as an example so we can review this session and any packages they may have used. Similarly, the session return button will show us all their activity and the various sessions completed, including the 4 values: kilocalories burned, the average intensity maintained, the maximum intensity reached in each session, and the intensity points, which give us a reference point for the session. There's also an option to create a new client from here. Next option, programs. Within programs, there are 3 possibilities: individual, automatic, or create a program. In the individual section, we can check the list of individual programs with their name, frequency, pulse width, ramp, contraction time in seconds, and pause time in seconds. Each one will be different depending on the goal we want to work on. Similarly, in the automatic section, we can view the different sequences and automatic programs, select them, and see the objective, total time, and the sequence for each one. For example, toning will start with the first program, which includes calibration for 2 minutes. It will have a 0 adjustment, meaning the intensity will neither increase nor decrease. It will stay at the selected level. After that, it will switch to the toning program for 1 minute, during which the intensity will be increased by 1 level. And so on, continuing in this way until it finishes with the massage program for 5 minutes and a reduction in intensity. The third most important option, creating programs, whether individually or automatically. Individual program. We need to fill in the program name, the desired frequency, the pulse width, recommended up to a maximum of 450, a ramp in seconds, a contraction in seconds, and also the pause. The equipment, full suit bio jacket. And we'll have the option to generate a general pulse that's the same for the whole body, as in this case, or to select a specific chronaxy for each muscle group. We'll need to save and select what type of chronaxy or pulse width we want for each part of the body. Let's do an example and make some distinctions. In this program, we'll give more emphasis to working the glutes and legs, less to the chest, and abdomen that works intensely, strong work for the legs, and less for the arms. This way, we can create different types of individual programs, as well as select the active muscle groups that this program will target. For example, if we want to create a program that only focuses on working the abs and glutes, we can deselect all the options we don't want to work on and select a specific program for those muscle groups. Otherwise, you can always choose the whole body, and it will work. Just like with an automatic program. An automatic program will consist of a sequence of individual programs that run consecutively for the set amount of time, from 0 up to a maximum of 30 minutes. By selecting the equipment, generating a new program name, and pressing the Create Sequence button. Create Sequence. Here, we'll start an example of a metabolic program in position 1, with a duration of 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and a setting of 0. this first sequence of the automatic program will appear for us. We'll continue by creating a second sequence where we select cellulite with a duration of 10 minutes and an additional 5% intensity adjustment. This way, we'll have an example of a 15-minute automatic program where the first 5 minutes start with metabolic and then switch to cellulite for the last 10. We can create it here and add a description for this program we want to generate. We can check here the creation of our new program so that we can later use it in the control panel. Next option, bioimpedance. For bioimpedance, it's important that we have our iBuddy Pro device activated and linked to our license in order to calculate and measure our client's bioimpedance. Once this device is linked to our license, we can press the bioimpedance option, select our client with all their information, and take a new reading or measurement, following the instructions in the video shown below. Body position is important, and by pressing the button on the device, it will generate this measurement, which we can later check in the client's section. Next, the tutorials option, which we already saw at the beginning. And finally, settings. First, the license, the option to add a license. At the bottom right, we can make some minor adjustments, such as setting the session time up to a maximum of 30 and a minimum of 20, or also restore an old backup from here. Yes, next, center management. In center management, we can create administrators to manage the application, select the one created, modify the username, as well as the password down here and all the other details. Or create an account for someone who won't be an administrator, but will still be able to use the software with fewer management options, but still able to carry out their treatments and sessions. From the Create New button, we will generate the personal information. Here, it's especially important to make sure the account is active and to set the permissions. If they have session control, if they have time control. This is because the number of sessions and the duration will be limited. And also, you can assign them packages and choose the type of user, whether they're going to be an administrator or an esthetician. Next, the language selection. All the languages available in the software. And the technical support option, which will directly provide us with contact information for any questions we might have regarding technical support. And as a new feature in this iModel 25 software, in the lower right corner you'll see an option to access our virtual assistant. It will take us to a subpanel where we can select our client and, based on a series of questions, determine a profile, the way to carry out the session and the treatment, which will generate a PDF of the client's record for us. These are a series of questions such as the goal, experience, current physical condition, and the number of days per week the treatment will be performed. It will indicate their current BMI status, whether it's normal, high obesity, and so on, as well as the client's information regarding age, height, and weight, and the ability to view or download this PDF to send it to the client. A record with the information, with recommendations for the programs to follow, the intensities depending on experience, days, and goals, as well as the total duration of the session and an example session to perform, along with some training tips that will be included as a supplement to the client's record. As the last button on the screen, to log out and close the application. That's everything about this new version of iModel 25. We hope you like it. If you need anything, the training department will be there to support you and provide assistance. Best regards.